So when a woman is a delight to the eyes because she's taken care of herself, when she's a delight to the ears because she speaks gently and kindly, but she can even be a delight to the nose. She should be. Hey everybody, it's Binti Mark and I am back with another video. But before we get started, I would like to invite you to check out today's outfit of the day. And if you have not had an opportunity, head over to themodestfitting.com and sign up for my newsletter so you can be notified when I drop my first collection of skirts and dresses featuring modesty, femininity, and beauty. But without further ado, let's begin. All right, I'm continuing a series on a book called Fascinating Womanhood, written by Helen Andelin. In this video, I want to take a time to discuss feminine appearance. She discusses it and she goes into great detail, and I wanted to kind of use her book as a launching pad to discuss what I consider to be aspects of feminine appearance. But before I do that, I want to start with what she said in her book, which is what the feminine appearance does. When you dress in feminine clothes and are well groomed, it increases your feeling of self-esteem. You feel better about yourself. You are encouraged to act more feminine in the way you walk, move your hands, sit, and conduct yourself. The outer appearance encourages the feminine manner. A feminine appearance brings out a favorable response in a man. As you acquire a more feminine appearance, he will notice you more, find you more appealing, and respect you more, as suggested in the following success stories. And she goes on to discuss what other people have experienced. And I want to point out too, I think I've stated this before, that I think that the message can be lost that women are trying to kind of bring their femininity to the surface for the purposes of interacting with men or getting a specific outcome with men. And that's not actually what I'm trying to promote, or even what I'm encouraging women to do. What I would want to see is for women to allow their femininity to surface in ways that I believe are God honoring. And it just so happens that one of the byproducts of women behaving like women and moving in a way that is in line with femininity is that it has an effect on the men around you, and usually that effect is positive. The first aspect of feminine appearance that I think is quite important is a maintained feminine figure. And the first thing that I have, before I even get into it, I think that all of us as women have been designed and shaped and put together in different ways. We have all of the same major components, but the way that they have been configured is very different. I don't think that there is a one cookie cutter, one size fits all feminine figure, but there is one thing that I think should be observed in most, if not all, women, and that is that your waistline should be intact. What do I mean by that? I'll give an example. I actually have a friend who, she and I have been friends ever since we were little girls. And I remember I met her in middle school. And when I met her in middle school, she was overweight. Like, she was a bit chunky. And now that we're adults, she is still that way. She's still a little overweight. She's still a chunky woman. But the way that her genes would have it is that when she gains weight, she gets fuller figured, but her waistline stays intact. She continues to have a feminine figure, feminine curve, even though parts of her body grow larger. And so, just stated plainly, she may find that her bust gets fuller, her behinds may get fuller, her thighs may fill in, but her waistline stays intact. And I think for a woman in a position like that, she has a decision about whether she wants to shed some weight or if she wants to maintain it, because as long as her waistline is intact, it's not compromising her feminine form. It's not compromising her feminine figure. Another thing, in addition to having a waistline that is intact, I think that we are best served when we avoid growing a gut. So having a protruding belly. This is important not only for the aesthetic reasons that I mentioned but before, about your feminine figure staying intact, but even from a medical standpoint. I learned about this actually from my psychology teacher, who pulled the girls aside. She was a woman. She pulled the girls aside and she talked to us about female health and body shape and all of these things. And one of the things that she said that I've had confirmed later on in just my own study is that When a woman, and really it's men too, but we're women, when a woman gains weight in the middle, around her waistline, around her abdomen, her chances for developing chronic diseases skyrocket. All of the diseases like diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, all of those things skyrocket specifically when she gains weight in the middle. Why is that? It's because all of the body's major and vital organs are in the middle. Our intestines, our stomachs, pancreas, kidneys, womb, ovaries, all of those things are in the middle, and when they are insulated with excessive amounts of fatty tissue, it impairs their ability to function efficiently and properly, thereby making the body vulnerable to developing disease. And so from an aesthetic point, even if you gain weight everywhere, as long as you can keep your waistline intact and your belly from growing forward and protruding, you probably are. It doesn't matter what size you are. It doesn't matter really how much weight you gain. The point is that you want to protect your waist and you want to keep belly fat off, because those are the two areas that when you start gaining weight there, it does compromise your feminine figure and it puts your health at risk. I think that how much weight a woman can gain to keep her waistline intact and to keep her gut under control is going to differ from person to person. If you're built like my friend, you may be able to gain 30 pounds and never see your belly start poking out or your waistline expanding. I know for me that when I can gain weight. I actually can gain weight and keep a feminine figure intact and to not have a protruding belly. But there is a point, and I know where that point is. There is a number on the scale that once my body has reached a certain size, my body will start storing any additional fat that I gain on my belly, and I know what that number is, so I just make sure to keep my weight below that. That number is going to differ from woman to woman, so you need to figure out what that weight is for you. Whether you weigh 200 pounds or 100 pounds, the aim is not so much this number on the scale. It's, is your feminine form intact? Is your feminine figure intact? Is your waistline where it should be? Is your gut in a controlled size? That's ultimately the key to maintaining a feminine figure. So that's number one. Moving on to number two, healthy hair. I think just on a baseline, the Bible has lots of things to say about hair, but specifically, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, the Bible describes a woman's hair as her crown of glory, and it's a crown of glory given to her by the Lord. I'm someone that has historically been quite flippant about cutting my hair, but as I've gotten older and matured, I've realized I don't need to just be so willy-nilly about chopping off my hair, because it's a gift to me given by the Lord, and it's one of the things, not always, not a hard and fast rule, but it's something that has historically and traditionally separated men from women. I know that there are exceptions to that, but generally speaking, men usually have shorter hair. Generally speaking, women usually have longer hair. Just a little bit biological background. The body prioritizes which portions of the body get nutrients, energy, and support first. Because the hair and nails are not they're not vital to the body's survival, your hair actually gets vitamins last. It gets minerals and nutrients last, which is why on a biological level, that beautiful hair and nails in a woman was seen as attractive to men, even if they couldn't articulate it. The reason being because it was just an overall sign of health and well-being. Because if your hair can look that healthy and that lustrous when the body prioritizes it last, it's a good indicator that perhaps the rest of the body is very healthy too. And so again, number two, healthy hair. Keep your hair clean. Keep your hair moisturized. This definitely comes into play for Black women, since we have a naturally dry hair type. Doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be a problem. It's just a matter of finding out which sealants and moisturizers are going to work well for your hair. But moisture is something that really everyone of all different ethnicities should bear in mind, because that's, if you're trying to grow your hair long, your hair will not be able to grow long if it is breaking, because it is brittle from being dry. So moisture is going to be important for everyone. Other signs of health in the hair are its elasticity and its shine. There are some people who genetically just have hair that's going to be shinier than others, so don't let that be a deterring factor, and don't chase after something that your hair just simply cannot accomplish. But overall, what contributes to feminine appearance is hair that is well maintained and in an overall healthy condition. I don't think that it's a hard and fast rule that your hair has to be long, but it is certainly something that if you can achieve it, I would recommend that you let your hair grow long as it possibly can, and that you take good care of it, because all it's going to do is add to your feminine appearance. My personal opinion is that I don't think that there are things much more beautiful when I see a woman with long hair that's healthy. It's well maintained and it's beautiful. Don't have long hair if it's raggedy on the ends and breaking off and all that, right? Trim it if you need to, but if you can grow long hair and groom it well, maintain it well, that's one of the most popular markers of outward femininity. Number 3, groomed fingernails and toenails. This is something that I did not really give much thought to until I became an adult. And I remember when I was a young girl, I had one of my mother's friends. She pulled me aside. I don't remember exactly how old I was. I probably was just beginning high school. I was not raised to be a feminine woman. I was not raised to be a feminine girl. And I think that it showed. And so one of my mother's friends pulled me aside and she said, Joyce, you need to take care of your toenails. Like, you need to keep them groomed. You need to keep them clean. Don't just let your fingernails just be in any condition. At the time, I was confused about why she was telling me that. I'm like, I don't care. But as an adult, I realized what she was trying to do. She was trying to teach me about some of just the practices and the art, if you want to call it that, of outward femininity. It is, I think, some people might want to argue with me. I don't know why you would argue to keep dirty fingernails. I don't know why you would do that, but I'm sure there will be someone who takes issue with this. I think that it is appropriate, good, and right for women to give thought to the maintenance and the grooming of their fingernails and their toenails. Does that mean that you need to go out and spend an arm and a leg on an expensive nail technician? You certainly can, but you don't have to. It isn't about having fancy designs and crazy nail art and all that. What it is about is keeping your fingernails clean. You shouldn't ever have dirt underneath your fingernails or your toenails. You should not allow your fingernails to chip and be jagged and rough and to be all different lengths and shapes and sizes. It doesn't mean that you need to constantly be working on your nails with a nail file, but I would say maybe every 3 to 4 weeks you set aside some time just to take a once over at your nails. Groom your cuticles if necessary. Keep your cuticles well moisturized and oiled. Make sure that your nails are filed evenly, that they're not jagged, even especially when you're dealing with your hair. Jagged fingernails can tear hair as you're grooming your hair. So if for nothing else, you want to keep your fingernails together. I also think with the toenails in general, I think that can sometimes be a neglected and overlooked part of just feminine appearance, but your toenails need to be well groomed as well. I am a proponent of having a good relationship with a nail technician who you trust, uses clean utensils, and who does a good job and is going to make sure that your nails are healthy and she won't damage your fingernails or your toenails, but it's not necessary. But regardless, whether you're doing it yourself or you're paying someone else, your fingernails and your toenails need to be groomed. It's just a part of being a woman and presenting appropriately. Number 4, I have clean, moisturized, and fragranced body. You need to be clean. You need to be clean. And I think especially if I'm just going to speak frankly, human adults will develop body odor throughout the course of a day. And while that is a very natural process in the body, it's not just because it's natural doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be embraced and like leaned into. Yes, it's natural that the body is going to stink over the course of the day, but you shouldn't celebrate stinking or try to like glorify stinking. I believe that bathing at least once daily is good, twice daily if you can. If it's not going to be too much of a burden for you, bathe twice a day. And it doesn't have to be long, luxuriant bath. You can take a 10 to 15 minute shower and bathe really thoroughly, and that will get the job done. In addition to a clean body, so use a good quality soap, and after you have done that, it's important to moisturize. I also was not taught to moisturize my skin growing up, and so I was ashy a lot of the time. If you're not familiar with the term ashy, all it means is that your skin is dry, and especially when you have darker skin tones, if you're ashy, your skin will actually look like there's like white powder on your skin. There's no white powder. It's just dry. The skin is dry. And the thing about soap, we use soaps because they're great cleaners. They will remove odors, debris, any dirt, but because they are such good cleaners, they remove all of the things we want gone, and they take away the things that we actually need, like the oil that our skin produces. And so when you use a stripping soap on your body, but then don't replenish the oil that was taken away, the result is dry, ashy skin. I don't think that dry, ashy skin is supposed to be a part of the feminine presentation or appearance. And so you need to be moisturizing your skin. The moisturizing routine that you follow does not have to be expensive at all. Matter of fact, I use basic things. I use unscented Dr. Bronner soap to clean with, and I seal my skin before I even step out of the shower with Vaseline. Vaseline is super cheap. It's not expensive at all, and it is one of the most effective products I have ever used on myself and on my babies growing up to keep their skin moisturized. And so it doesn't have to be expensive. Most of the things that I just mentioned, under $10, and it'll last you for a good month, if not longer. Don't forget, when moisturizing your skin, you need to remember to moisturize your hands, your feet, your elbows, and your knees. These are areas that tend to be very dry, and especially women, the heels. When you go to get a pedicure and they use that little cheese grater thing on your heels to remove the dry skin. I'll tell a quick story. I've always gone and gotten pedicures, and they use that cheese grater thing, and it keeps your skin smooth. But the new lady that I started working with, she does not groom the heels. She only grooms the skin that is directly around the toenail. She does not groom the rest of the foot. And so I had dry skin on the back of my heels, and I was like, what am I gonna do? I don't want to just walk around with this scratchy skin. And I don't know why, but I just got the gumption to just be really intentional about applying Vaseline to my heels before even getting out of the shower. And within 2 to 3 weeks, not only did the existing rough skin go away, but I never developed any new rough skin or rough patches. And I understood that this process that we have of raking off dry skin is not necessary to get smooth heels. All you have to do is seal properly. A cheap $1.99 tub of Vaseline will do the trick for you. All you need to do is shower and dry off, and while your skin is not wet but still damp, apply Vaseline, a generous amount of Vaseline to the heels, and within 2 to 3 weeks it will be smooth, and you will not ever have to use that cheese grater again. After you have cleaned the body with soap, after you have sealed the body with some sort of oil, Vaseline, thick cream, or like shea butter, some sort of body butter, after you've sealed, the next thing you need to do is lightly fragrance your body. I also got some pushback on this on one of my other videos, but honestly, I'm gonna push back on your pushback. I think that smelling nice and smelling sweet is something that's very appropriate for a woman. And I think when I think about femininity and being a feminine woman, you know, a woman who is really walking in her femininity is a blessing to the people that she's around without even having to say a word. Just being in her presence is a blessing. And I know that in some way that's going to sound a little bit pretentious, but I don't believe that it is. I think that when God created the earth, he created a beautiful thing. When he created a man, he created something that was even more beautiful. But when he created the woman, he created something that was the most beautiful. And so when a woman is a delight to the eyes because she's taken care of herself, when she's a delight to the ears because she speaks gently and kindly, but she can even be a delight to the nose. She should be. She shouldn't stink. And I think in place of a stink, she should have a fragrance. Now, you can use commercial synthetic fragrances, which I use, and I have no issue with that. But if you want to do something a little bit more natural, use an essential oil. These are things that are naturally occurring. These are fragrances that the Lord gave us. Why would we not use them? You can use spearmint. You can use eucalyptus. You can use lavender. You can use lemongrass. These are all beautiful, naturally occurring, sweet-smelling fragrances that you can just very lightly apply to just the areas where you want some fragrance. I think that it's good. I think it's a part of just feminine and womanly maintenance to be clean, to be moisturized, and to be lightly fragranced. Your perfume should not be overwhelming such that when you walk in the room, everybody can smell you. That's not what we're going for. It's when you go in for a hug, just she smells good. Like, that's what we're going for. That's in line with I think appropriate femininity. Number 5 is light makeup. I actually do not wear makeup. I am not gifted in the makeup ministry, okay? That's not one of my spiritual gifts. I have tried applying makeup in the past, and it never looks right on me. But there are some women who can apply makeup in a way that it looks beautiful. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I don't think that there's anything sinful about it. I don't think that there's anything immoral about it. I think that light makeup used to just enhance the natural beauty of a woman's face is totally good and right and appropriate for a feminine woman. And so while I don't personally practice it, it's something that I appreciate in other women who know how to do it well, and they don't overindulge, because there is a kind of diminishing returns where it's not more makeup, more benefit. There does come a point where it's so much makeup that it actually diminishes from your beauty. So like if you put on makeup and you look better when you've washed it off, you have too much makeup on. Or if you put on makeup to such an extent that if you wash it off, the people around you would not recognize you, that's makeup being applied in excess. So again, I am not against makeup. Light makeup can be very beautiful and enhancing, natural, just lightly enhancing the face of a woman. And so I think that that's well and good and a part of good feminine practice. Number 6 would be feminine clothing. And I think that when we're choosing our clothing, you all know that I have a strong preference for skirts and dresses. And the reason that I have a strong preference for skirts and dresses is because in our culture, where we are today, in the United States, the skirt and the dress is exclusively set apart for the woman. It's not a garment that a man wears. And if a man is in our culture, if a man is wearing a skirt and a dress, he is trying to make a statement that he is deliberately trying to put on femininity, because the skirt and the dress is reserved for feminine people, for women. So for me, I like to put on skirts and dresses because they are the most feminine garment available to me in my culture. And I appreciate femininity, and I like to exude that. So I wear skirts and dresses. Does that mean that that's the only thing that's available to you? No. I would say you can find a feminine pair of pants. I would question, though, if the thing that makes your pants feminine is that they cling to the body. They're tight, and whereas the man's pants are loose, I would say you may be bumping up against to what I consider a necessary part of feminine clothing, and that it be modest. Feminine clothing should be just that, feminine. It should be beautiful, and above all things, it should be modest. And so let that, in my opinion, let those be your guiding lights about what kind of clothing you should wear. Everything that you wear should exude your femininity, but not your feminine sexuality. Because that is not for public display. That's for private display, exclusively for your husband. Absolutely. The things that you wear privately to entertain and tantalize your husband should be form-fitting, should be very little fabric, should be see-through fabric. These are all of the things that are very well and good for the private, exclusive viewing of your husband. But your public dress should not accentuate or highlight your sexual appeal. That's not appropriate for external feminine expressions. And so again, I think that your clothing, feminine clothing, should be beautiful. It should indeed be feminine, something that speaks to the fact that you are indeed a woman. And above all things, it should be modest. I like to achieve that by wearing skirts and dresses specifically with floral prints. I like to use things that have lace detailing. Crochet detailing is also very feminine, very I don't think I've ever really seen a man wear something that has crochet detailing. It's so feminine that only time I've ever seen it is on women. And the other things that I like to try to go for is solid colors that complement your skin tone. You will need to take some time to really think this through. I think if you're just in the routine of wearing clothing that's just the standard shirt and jeans, t-shirt and jeans, you probably haven't given thought to what colors complement your skin tone. For me, I know that electric blue is one of my colors. I also do really well with earthy tones. So like things like terracotta, olive greens, earthy tones, off-white, kind of beige, ecru colors. Those look really nice in solid colors against my skin tone. And I think that when a woman wears something that complements her complexion and it's something beautiful like a dress and a skirt, the overall impression is like, wow, that is so pretty. And I think that if you can take the time to really try to design a wardrobe and an external public wardrobe that speaks to femininity, beauty, and modesty, and that speaks to colors that complement your skin tone, you're going to start noticing that the people around you really do respond to that. Something that I have really committed to designing a wardrobe that speaks to femininity and complements just my personal preferences like lace and crochet and solid colors that match my skin. And something that I've noticed is that I do get responses from both men and women. They're different responses, but they're responding, and they're really responding to my feminine clothing. From men, what they will usually say is something along the lines of, "You look so beautiful in that dress. You look so pretty." And I had an older man. He was probably like in his late 50s, and I was with my daughter, so it wasn't a kind of like inappropriate interaction. He was being very respectful and honoring the fact that, you know, he should be treating me with respect. But I was wearing this like crochet knit top, and I had a long maxi skirt. And he said it's been such a long time that I've seen a woman in a dress. He thought it was a dress. He said, it's been such a long time since I've seen a woman in a long, beautiful dress. You look so pretty. You look so pretty. He's like, you should take a picture. You should take a picture. And that's kind of the way that men respond, or they'll come to me and say, you look so pretty in that dress. Women will usually actually use the word feminine. Oftentimes women will say, what does she say? She said, I love your style. You look so feminine. You always wear feminine clothing. You always wear these beautiful, pretty feminine dresses. I hear that a lot from other women. And so this idea of really taking time to cultivate outward feminine appearance, it really does make an impact. And I would say that the impact is for the positive. The last tip I have for feminine appearance is accessories through subtle jewelry or just other kind of embellishments. And embellishments might not be the right word, because we're not looking to embellish anything. It's actually subtle. But I love to kind of just decorate myself, so to speak, with light jewelry. You'll notice that I always kind of wear 2 gold bands. I wear my wedding band. I also have like subtle small earrings that I wear. I have a little bit of lock jewelry in my hair. Sometimes I may wear a head wrap. That's very customary. for different ethnicities across the world to adorn themselves with a head wrap. The head wraps that you use can be very beautiful and they look very, very feminine. But yeah, like just using accessories, just trying to stay away from things that are loud and obnoxious and gaudy. Anything that you put on should be a compliment to your appearance. It shouldn't overwhelm your appearance. And if you wear something that overwhelms your appearance, it doesn't actually add to your femininity, it mutes it. It overwhelms your femininity. It takes center stage in place of your femininity. So while I love the use of jewelry, the jewelry should be subtle. I also have like just like a thin gold chain. It's probably so thin you may not even be able to see it on the camera. Just subtle jewelry, I think, lightly and beautifully just enhances the feminine appearance and sets us apart from men and masculinity. This wasn't exhaustive. This was a pretty long video. I didn't think it was going to take this long. But are there other aspects of outward femininity that you feel like I missed? Include them in the comment section below. Let us know the ways that you like to put on femininity in your outward appearance. And as always, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.